Have you ever wondered how some games go from seemingly impossible to lose, yet somehow you're greeted with the defeat screen 10 minutes later? You don't really get it, and maybe your whole team has a positive KD. Chances are the enemy team simply had better ult economy. Ult economy is the management of your team's ultimate abilities and managing them to get the most impact out of each one. It's deciding what ultimate is needed to counter enemy ults, win fights, secure objectives, or when ults aren't even needed at all. A great example of how this works is similar to the tortoise and the hare. The hare would represent using more ultimates than necessary to get a huge lead initially, but over time, the team who steadily paces out ultimates and has good ult rotations and economy ultimately wins the race. In short, teams who use less ults, but each with the most impact, typically win. It doesn't really matter about stats or KD, it's mostly just about impact. It's about pacing ultimates and always having a response, versus over-responding and then being left defenseless for the next few fights. In terms of gameplay, it could go like this. Star-Lord pops his ultimate. So who uses their ultimate on your team? Ideally, only one is needed. You could use one support ult, which usually does its job. Or maybe Magneto can use his ult, even killing Star-Lord in air, while also soaking up the damage from his ultimate. Or maybe just having an Atom use Soul Link on your team can be enough to sustain the damage for a temporary amount of time. And lastly, sometimes Star-Lords pop their ults when they aren't in a good position, which means you have the opportunity to just take cover and keep kiting, allowing your team to just move out safely and not have to use any resources. Point is, in most scenarios, you only need one ultimate in response to another enemy's ultimate. Some cases you don't even need to use anything if they use it too soon or they have no follow-up. Another example would be a Luna ult. If the enemy Luna ults aggressively or just uses it only for sustain and no other ultimates are being used, there's a good chance your team can just back up and let it run out while healing, without ever needing to respond with your own ultimate, thus making it so that the enemy Luna wasted theirs, and now you guys are up on the ult economy. So while that's kind of the gist of how ult economy works, what does ult economy include? There's charge management, keeping track of teammates and enemies' ultimates. It's somewhat self-explanatory. It's pressing tab often to see what ultimates your teammates have, but also thinking about what ultimates the enemy team may have to help you determine what to do in the next fight. Ultimates have different charge times, and here's a graph from Reddit that is a visual representation. Planning. When to save ultimates and which ultimates to use to counter, or which ultimates to open a fight or bait out other enemy ultimates. Oftentimes in ranked, there's little to no planning, but there is an opportunity to change that. Sometimes letting teammates know, hey, I want to use this first, or hey, can we bait out the enemy ult first? Or hey, I'm gonna save mine for this ult, can we use this instead? That can have a huge impact. Planning also takes into consideration making sure which ultimates are only necessary and will help you secure the objective or win a fight, or which ultimates would simply be overkill. Coordination. What ultimates are good on their own? What ultimates may need some help? What combo might outdo any of their combos? A great example of a really good combo is Moon Knight Groot, because it will almost always be a team wipe, regardless of if they use even Luna or Mantis ult. Setting up combos is a great way to secure fights, while also making sure you don't overuse ultimates and then put your team at a disadvantage. Efficient usage. You want to avoid using your ultimate in a panic situation. Ulting seconds too soon or seconds too late can sometimes be the sole factor in determining if you win or lose the fight. The most common issue I've seen so far in Ranked is also just the most apparent. Panic ulting. People press Q, so other people press Q. Or maybe a support is about to die. Even if they're in their own spawn and they can just, respawn in 10 seconds and be back in the fight, they'll use their ultimate, which ends up being just a complete waste. Even if your team survives, and even if your team makes a teeny bit of progress, the end result is usually the next time where progress is actually important to be making, your team doesn't have the resources for it, and a lot of times ends up costing your team the game. Ult Economy is arguably the game at its core. Past mechanical ability, damage or healing stats, and sometimes past individual play as well. It ensures momentum, and especially at higher level play where mechanics don't matter as much, where everyone is kind of, on an equal playing field, it comes down to just which team is managing their ults better. I think seeing the game from a resource management perspective is a huge improvement to anyone's gameplay because it opens up the reality of the game. The better player, mechanics aside, has better resource management in the end. This even accounts for normal abilities. So anyways, that's just a short little video on Ult Economy. If you have any questions, feel free to comment and I can answer them in the comment section down below. I do also stream on Twitch, so if you'd like to come watch some support gameplay and just general Marvel Rivals stuff, feel free to come by and hang out. Thanks for watching and see you guys next time.